keep hearing things and reading reports about how many players West Ham need to buy. And I don't know. It is interesting. I was on the radio. I wasn't on the radio. I was listening to the radio. I wasn't on it. I was listening to it. And somebody said on the radio, what do you think West Ham will do with the Declan Rice money? And it was a West Ham fan, and he answered, and he said, well, we definitely need a striker. And he was right. He was absolutely right. We might even need two. But it was funny because before he answered, I was thinking, well, we definitely need a replacement for Declan Rice. Of course, I'm right as well. But as I mentioned in yesterday's video, we might even need two. And Zuma, of course, went off injured in the Conference League final. Zuma's going to be injured a lot for the remainder of his West Ham career. Great player. And he comes back from injury, plays well. But make no mistake about it, Kurt Zuma will not be going through next season injury-free. Ain't going to happen. Do we need another centre-back? Yeah, probably do. Depends if they get another year out of Ogbonna. Depends if Kehrer stays. Apparently Kehrer might want to go. But, yes, I would think so. Do we need another right-back? I guess there's a difference between need and want. Might be nice. I think there were a point this season, if you'd have said that come the end of it, we wouldn't upgrade either left-back or right-back, might not have looked too clever. Soufal looked like he was on his way out to Bayern Leverkusen at one point, and Fiorentina were interested, funny enough. Kehrer looked an abomination at right-back. So it looked like when, if you remember, Ben Johnson wasn't enjoying his best time. Looked like we needed a right-back. There was also the point where he took a little while to settle. Didn't look great, Emerson. And Cresswell looked like he'd passed it. It didn't look very good. However, I do think towards the end of the season, Kehrer's looked a lot better at right-back. Soufal has been really good. Cresswell's coming to form, and Emerson obviously finished strongly in the finals. So you think, okay, could we go another season without fullbacks? I guess so. But this is where I think it's interesting. That's an opportunity there to try and blood someone like Scarles there. I think that might be a good option to do that. Do we need another winger? We absolutely do. Let's be fair here. Fornals is not best as a winger, but because of how strongly he finished, I've read somewhere, West Ham need to sell Fornals. I don't think we do. I think he finished really strongly. I do wonder how much of he was bad. He had a really bad run of form. How much of that was down to him becoming a father? It almost coincided. Almost the day after it was, his form dropped off a cliff. But he had a heroic end to the season, didn't he, Fornals? I think as long as he's not deployed on the wing, I think there's plenty of reason for Fornals to remain with West Ham. I think there's enough players going. That's the last thing we need to do is try and replace Fornals as well, because Lanzini's off. So maybe move Fornals in there. What's the next season hold for Cornet? Well, I don't know, and you don't know. No, but I don't know how anyone can know. But would you bank on it? Would you say, hold on a second, let's not get a spare winger? Because that's what he was meant to be, our spare winger. Maybe cover a little bit up front. Would you be happy going into the season saying, it's all right, don't worry if we have an injury on the wing, Cornet's there? No. Not at all. Would not be happy with that at all. So I think we probably need another left winger. Now, what I'd actually like to see happen would be Kadua to come through from the academy and cover the right wing. I still think we need to buy a winger. If it was Harvey Barnes, I think that's fine. People saying sell Benrahma? No. I mean, he's a hero. He's a hero. Again, he could probably do with a few more games in attacking midfield. When you rest Paqueta, put Benrahma in there. Maybe try Benrahma on the right a little bit. He's a fine player, Benrahma. There's no reason why Benrahma shouldn't be playing over 30 games next season. Why would we get rid of him? I mean, he looked settled. He got to the point where David Moyes just started to trust him. But we are going to have to replace Lanzini. And I would suggest we probably have to replace Maxwell Cornet. Even if we're not intending on selling him, we're still going to need him. That was the chair again, by the way. Strikers, what can I say about that? I mean, I honestly don't know where to start with what I do. Start with Michail Antonio. Looks like he's leaving. Scamacca. Looks like he's leaving. Danny Ings. I'm sorry to say it. I like him. I think he's a good player, but he ain't suited to the way we play. What do you think is more likely to happen? Danny Ings leaves or David Moyes adjusts to the style of play that suits Danny Ings? I just can't see it. I'd have loved to have seen, actually, if we were ever going to play 4-4-2, I'd have loved to have seen Scamacca and Danny Ings as a front two. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So I would suggest we actually need to buy 2 strikers. And once again, I want to see Mubama involved. And I'd also like to see Callum Wilson drafted. Callum Wilson? Marshall. We don't want Callum Wilson. We ain't getting him, that's for sure. Callum Marshall drafted him. I think there are a number of players from that youth academy who, the FA Cup winning, FA Youth Cup winning team, who should start being drip-fed into the squad. No more 2 goalkeepers, all that stuff. No more leaving a space on there. Let's get them involved. And I've mentioned, 2 or 3 already who would like involved. There are others. And there are, and I'm sort of conscious I'm missing a few out here. But Kadua, I'd certainly bring, Mubama, Marshall, Skulls. Bring them in, get them involved. There's no point mentioning centre-backs, because, there are some good options there. But Moyes ain't going to do it. He really isn't. So when you start to look at it, you start looking, well, maybe, at least 1 midfielder, probably 2. 2 strikers at least, probably a centre-back, winger. You're already at 6 players. That's another overhaul. Now, there'll probably be more than 6 need filling, but as I say, the rest of them, let's do it. Let's start filling the squad with that youth team. Let's start getting some promise in there. Moyes only going to stay for 1 more year, I would imagine. I don't know. But at least that gives the next manager some youngsters who have been blooded, who've got a little bit of experience by them. It's going to be a busy transfer window. Declan Rice deal needs to be done quick, and I think it possibly will be. All that stuff that you're seeing at the moment, that's the 2 clubs haggling. That's the 2 clubs haggling in public. We've received a bid. We've not received a bid. We've received some interest. We haven't received a bid. We're not paying that. We want you to pay this. We're not accepting that. We're offering this. They're both sides are going at it. Just leaking news to everybody. So the story looks like it's constantly changing. I don't think the story's changed at all. I think he's going to Arsenal. And I think once you put all the add-ons on, it'll be 100-odd million. I think they'll want that. Our board will want to be able to say it's a British record transfer fee. They want a big chunk up front. They want 40, 50 million up front. Normally you wouldn't get that. All that stuff gets spread over 5 years. Not sure that's going to happen here. So it's all bargaining. He wants to go. Arsenal want him. Do we want to sell him? No, we know we have to. We want the best price possible. But I do think we need to get it done nice and early because we need to bring some of these players in whoever's been identified. And I know Harvey Barnes might not be everyone's cup of tea. But if that's who we want and that's who we're going for, and I quite like him because he's direct. And as I mentioned before, I sort of do like direct players really that go straight at it. I think if you're in a counter-attacking team, you've got to have them. I think he would fit perfectly counter-attacking tactics. But you don't want to wait around for someone else to get him. Someone else will come in and get him because, well, look how many goals he scored last season. He's a good player. He's a relegated team. The vultures will be circling. Well, we just got to make sure not only one of the vultures, we're the king vulture. Be interested to know what you think. I think 6 players, 6, not saying they all have got to be world class, but 6 signed players, be they whatever, 4 permanent, 2 on loan, whatever. 6 senior players need to come in. And I think we need to also incorporate at least 3 youngsters. Be interested to know what you think.